Hello everyone, I'm Aaron from DataStax, and today I'm going to take you through the final steps of the zero downtime migration process, and that is application cutover. All right, let's go. All right everyone, our agenda for today is pretty simple. We're just going to cover briefly the zero downtime migration process, as well as where we are in that process and some considerations around that. We're going to have a look at the application changes that are necessary to make the cutover happen, and then I'm going to demo this and walk you through it. All right. Of course, if you remember, this entire video series has been based on the premise that we're migrating the Killer Video legacy application. Killer Video is a YouTube clone that, we built at DataStax here more than a decade ago. We're going to execute a migration of this legacy application from its Cassandra database into AstraDB. All right, so just a reminder, the zero downtime migration process from a high level kind of looks like this, where we have our application pointing to the ZDM proxy instances, and the proxy instances handle connection and traffic with both AstraDB and Apache Cassandra. The idea is that writes from your application will be funneled to both Cassandra and AstraDB, while your application will only read from the original cluster. That way, it can function normally while the data is being used using either the DS bulk loader or the Cassandra data migrator. It is recommended that you have multiple application instances. That way you can take one down, update it, and bring it back up. And you can do this to your application instances one at a time. That way, your users experience a minimum, if any, interruption. Likewise, it's also recommended to have multiple ZDM proxy instances, or as many as it takes to kind of handle your application traffic. All right, as for the application changes, the main difference is in the driver properties. So when you look at what it takes to connect to AstraDB versus what it takes to connect to Apache Cassandra, you have a difference in like endpoints and database ID versus connection points in Cassandra. And then you have the concept of like a token in AstraDB, and then the concept of like username, password, credentials inside of Cassandra. Now, the good news is the recent version of most Apache Cassandra open source drivers actually does contain the properties that you need to connect to AstraDB already. So hopefully there's not a whole lot to do. On the other hand, if you're still using an old version of a driver, you may need to upgrade in order to get access to those new connection properties. Okay, just a quick walkthrough of our demo. We're going to perform a cutover here. We're going to go through a sanity check where we have a look at my Cassandra cluster, my instance of the ZDM proxy, and my AstraDB, and we're also going to have a look at the application as well as it stands. Then we're going to stop the application instance, change our connection properties, and restart. And if we did everything right, it should work. All right, let's see if we can make this work. The paradigm that we're going to work with today is that we'll have my local Cassandra one node cluster running on my laptop. We'll have the ZDM proxy also running local on my laptop. And the ZDM proxy is going to be pointing to both my Cassandra cluster and to my AstraDB database. Then we're simply going to take the application and we're going to point it at just AstraDB, and everything should continue working just like it had before. All right, but let's verify that the cluster is indeed there. So I can do bin node tool status. Yep, okay, it's definitely still there. That's good. If we have a look at our proxy, you'll see that the proxy is indeed running, and you can see that it does have a connection out to Astra, and it does have a connection out to my Cassandra database. Okay, so that is doing all right. Next, if we have a look at AstraDB, click over to the CQL console, and I can say use Killer Video, and we can say select star from latest videos. We definitely have videos out there, and we can also check the videos table as well. Yep, plenty more out there. So, okay, our AstraDB instance is in good shape here. So, running my application in Eclipse here, you can see that here are my application properties. It's just a simple Java Spring Boot with a Vaadin on the front end application that's going to be hitting those tables. You can see that we have our contact points of localhost. We have our Cassandra port of 14,002 so that it hits the proxy. We have our username of token, and we have our password of our AstraDB token. We're also specifying our local data center and the key space of Killer Video. If you have a look at the repository, pretty much everything is default, although, you know, for latest videos, I don't want to do a select star from, so I put a limit 15 on there. You can see that the latest video's entity does in fact match up with the latest video's table. You know, I'm specifying a, specific primary key here for Spring Boot. You know, our controller is pretty simple too, where we just have our, hey, find limit 15, and we're calling that from inside of our Vaadin code right here, where we build the preview carousel. Yeah, you can see that we're doing a controller get latest videos, and then it's going to go through them and go ahead and put them out there. All right, so pretty simple. Let's go ahead and run this. So I can do a run as Java application. Yeah, Killer Video. Yeah, migration application. All right, so we have this up here. It looks like, though, one of our videos is missing a preview image. The build Gen AI. Oh, that was the live stream I did not too long ago. Okay. You know what? Let's go ahead and fix that. So let's bounce back into CQL shell here. Okay. Use Killer Video. All right. And yeah, let's just do a select from latest videos, and let's go ahead and look at here we go. The preview image location for my video here must not be, sometimes Google has a way of expiring those links, so I actually do have a new one that we can put in there. All right, so let's go ahead and get this updated. So let's go insert into Killer Video, and we're going to say y, mmdd, and then added date, video ID, and then we're going to say preview image location. Right? That's what that preview image location. That's right. Okay, and then you can say values, and let's do tick mark and paste that in. Real quick, we're going to update this to match our insert statement. Oh, need a tick mark there. And then tick, comma, tick. All right, on the end. And then let's go tick, and I have our complete new URL that we can point that to. Let's update that. Oh, yeah, this is a good point. Now remember, when you're writing and choosing your consistency level, AstraDB does not allow consistency levels of 1. So real quick, I'm just going to say consistency local forum, just like that. Now let's rerun our insert. Boom, our insert's good. Now I can go back to the application. I can say refresh. Hey, look at that. We got our preview. Okay. So this is still running through the proxy, and this is now good to go. So let's progress on. As I am using Maven, I will want to update my POM XML. Let's go ahead and stop the application here. Let's go ahead and put in a POM dependency here for the Astra Spring Boot 3X starter. And the latest version right now is 1.2.9, so we'll make sure that we use that. And then let's save. Yeah, you notice Eclipse is building down here. That's good. Okay, next we're going to want to check the application properties. Let's go ahead and add in our properties here for Astra. All right, so we're going to say astra.api.application token. And then, oh, look at that. Copilot even moves my token down here for me. How nice. All right. Next, we're going to say database ID. Yep, and yeah, Copilot did a good job of that too. So real quick, let's get our database ID. So if I go back to terminal and I say Astra DB list, I can get that with the Astra CLI, and I want my ZDM proxy demo, and I'm going to grab that database ID. Let's go ahead and put that in. Next, we're going to say API region. Well, I can see that. Yep, that's also US East 1. Perfect. Actually, this is going to want to be database region. Next, we're going to need a section here for CQL. We want CQL enabled true. We do want to download the SCB so that we don't have to worry about specifying its file location. Actually, that's a little bit different, isn't it? There, dot enabled true. And then we'll say CQL dot driver config basic session key space equals killer video. All right, let's clear these out. And let's also go ahead and make this a part of Astra as well. I did forget that. So we can just go here, boom, 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 boom. All right, let's give this a shot. So we'll say run as Java application again. And it'll spin, and yep, we want that one. And if we did everything right, it should run off of Astra. Hey, look at that. All right, we do in fact have our local killer video application running off of DataStax AstraDB. Outstanding. All right, everyone, thanks for joining in on this video and this series. Today, we had a look at the migration process in terms of cutover. We went in with a Java Spring Boot application and got it to convert over and use just AstraDB instead of running against the ZDM proxy like it was. So, hey, if you have any questions, feel free to comment and we'll get back to you and try to help you out. All right, thanks a lot. Want more information on modernizing your self-managed Cassandra deployments? Head on out to datastax.com/modernize-apache-cassandra-workloads, and you'll find all the information you need on keeping your self-managed Cassandra cluster updated and in top running form. Thank you and have a great day.